jet lag?
What's that?
Any jet lag when you get back from China?
Yeah, things are just starting to come back in place for me entirely. I guess probably today is the best that I've felt since we got back Saturday night. There's no way to simulate, what we're going through with that. I think just when we were getting ready to play the game is when I started to feel like normal in China, and then we're getting back on the plane again. So it started all over on Sunday and Monday. So yeah, I mean, starting to get my energy back, and I think the players are as well.
When you have a trip like this, you want obviously want a good bonding experience, a good camaraderie. Do you feel that aspect is?
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time together. We had a lot of events and a lot of activities that we did. We saw a lot of things, and so it was good cultural, good educational thing for our players, and people were very nice to us, very hospitable. It was a really solid time, I think, to again, maybe not the normal way that you hope to, maximize your practice time and thinking about your opponent and all those things as you're starting the season. But certainly it's an opportunity that you don't get a chance to do too often. So there is a level of sacrifice of missing some of that for doing some of the things that the guys were able to do in China.
What was it like hanging out with the other teams? Apparently you did all the same things Colorado did, so the guys you're going to be playing on, later this season are kind of doing the same things with you.
Yeah, I mean, early in the week it didn't really affect us that much. I think it's closer to the game. It was like, are we really going to see these guys again? Breakfast, everyone's around. It was the same hotel, and so you're always running into everyone. So it was different in that regard because there's no animosity between Arizona State and Colorado and the coaching staffs and that sort of thing, but just as competitive nature everyone has. It's just, I think Tad and I were done with pictures as we took one of our last pictures. I think 8 minutes before our game. I think we said we had enough of that. So it was interesting in some of those ways.
How was it for the players who interact? I mean, saw a lot of stuff with the younger kids there. I mean, how were they receptive to you guys, or from you, Colorado, the players, and everything?
Yeah, I thought that was a great opportunity for our guys to work with the Yao Ming's foundation, and there were some underprivileged kids that don't really even get to see like Shanghai, and they're in more of the rural areas of China, and they were able to go and through Yao's foundation and spend a day at Disneyland and Shanghai, and then we did a clinic with them at Alibaba in their sports facility. So that was good for our guys to have that opportunity.
You were missing Cherry and Lamella. How did the other guys in the front court handle that, and how did they play?
I mean, I thought that all things considered, playing a team of the talent and the experience, Colorado, and then missing key guys and having to play differently, that everyone accounted pretty well for themselves. And I think we played a little bit too fast on offense in the first half, and when we were going against set defense, we shot it a little too quick. So the chaos we were trying to create on defense carried a little bit too much over to the offensive end. And consequently, I think we put some pressure, on our defense. I think too we didn't convert some layups and some free throws that we needed to, just to keep the game real close. And I was just proud of the guys and their effort and their competitive drive to really give us a chance in the last few minutes to even have a chance to win.
Having said that, how nice is it to get these guys back?
What's that?
Having said that, how nice is it to get the big men back?
Well, yeah, I mean they're not certain for tomorrow, so we're not sure on Romello and Tayshaun. There'll be a game time decision tomorrow. But as I stated on my radio show, I think they're really good kids for me, and spent a lot of time with them and had them at my house, and think of them as my kids. And they made a mistake, and so they're gonna we're gonna see when they're going to be available, but do think they're good people, and as kids make poor judgments, that was the case with those two.
Yeah, these are the moments where sometimes this is bigger than basketball, teaching them how to be responsible adults.
Yeah,
Into play?
yeah, I mean, it's, you feel like, missing that game meant a lot to them, and it was a bad, they really felt bad about not being a part of that game for their teammates, and I think they felt that pain, when we lost, and to know that they weren't a part of it. So I'm sure that there was, a lesson to be learned.
I think there's a lot of positive things about Lamelo all offseason, with getting into great shape and all that stuff. So those two things are completely unrelated, right? Just whatever happened and the way that you feel about him in that regard.
Yeah, that hasn't changed a lot. Again, it was a poor judgment, between when I had my last press conference in the United States and before we went to China. So I just want to be clear that it was nothing for those two guys that had anything to do with, when we got on the plane to go play the game. But yeah, you just hope that moving forward that they don't do it, or they don't make a poor decision again that's going to, put any time in jeopardy with them not being on the floor, because they are good kids, and we need them obviously to be successful, and they need to be out on the court.
Was it almost a moral victory because you played pretty well without them and you were close to a very good team despite not having those two guys?
Yeah, I think that's been the theme, throughout most of our practice sessions. We've had guys out for injuries and a variety of reasons, and in our scrimmage game, it was a similar thing. We had multiple guys out, yet I have great feel for what we did, and getting a chance to see different guys step up, and so I think this was a similar scenario, just having to really scrap some of your main ideas of what you thought your team would be based around, to have to go entirely in a different direction on short notice, and to see the guys respond to that, I thought was pretty good.
Well, I'm sure this isn't the ideal situation, but in the long run, in the big picture, could it make the team better to where they having to play short, and then when they get these guys back, it's like, hey, now we were better.
I don't really look at it like that. I just I feel like missed opportunity more than, and self-inflicted than maybe trying to find the good in it. Again, I do have a lot of confidence in our team and our potential and our ceiling, based on just seeing how we were able to respond to not having some key guys, and at positions where we can't really afford to have multiple guys out, and that's really the difference.
Does Jalen Graham sort of validate some of the thoughts you had about him going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, we're gaining a lot more confidence in Jalen, and he provided what we needed in that game. He gave us a presence in the paint when we knew it was going to be an adventure to get a rebound with their size at just about every position. They were bigger than us. So, but I thought, he handled himself terrific for a freshman that hasn't been through these type of games, and to block the shots he blocked, had some great finishes, really good spin and a dunk, and so just was very impressive.
How rare is that for a freshman to step in and you need to be a plus rim protector?
I mean, it happens. I think it comes down to, like, he wasn't forecasted to be that guy. Like, if you look back a year ago, people weren't thinking of him in that regard. That's how quickly he's catching up, and he's I think he's a high ceiling player that's going to continue to get better as he gets stronger and learns and just gets more experience. But he already showed us, and I think his teammates, that that we could count on him, and he's a guy that that could be productive on the front court.
Did you guys do anything different in this week back to try to acclimate yourself to have practice time at an unusual hour, or do anything like that with the team?
It was really hard to guess, because when we were over in China, we were getting up at 4 a.m. and I'm in the gym at like 5 a.m. and I'm not Herm, so I'm not doing that. So I'm usually more in the 6 to 7 range when I do my gym workouts. But I was forced into that just with the sleeping pattern. So I have no idea like how to even handle it. We had the Brooklyn Nets in our facility yesterday, and was able to talk with their head coach a little bit. They were in Shanghai for an exhibition game, and he gave me a few good ideas about things he might have done a little differently. That we applied, in these last 2 days with the guys, which was very helpful.
Back to Jalen Graham, is he a little bit more further along defensively than most big men to come in as a freshman?
I just think he's got good natural timing, you know, with shot blocking, and especially as a weak side shot blocker. And what I liked was, like, he didn't put himself in really bad situations to accumulate fouls. Like, that's what you worry about too with young guys, that they're just going to be foul prone. And especially in that game, I was trying to protect him from that as much as possible because we needed him, especially in crunch situations. So, you know, we took him out when he got his first foul immediately and tried to do some things to help him, you know, not pick up quick fouls. But that was good. And, you know, a lot of guys, again, tend to rush on the offensive end. And he's got pretty good patience and poise. You know, when he catches the ball in traffic, it doesn't bother him. He's kind of takes his time, and he's got good footwork. So he's, you know, pretty advanced in certain ways.
So your desire to have a smaller lineup, is that why Kelly Thomas and Ray Allen didn't get that many minutes in that game?
You know, I thought that was the best way for that game, and I'm not saying that that's going to be who we are going forward, but just had some time in China to experiment with trying to get Kamani and Elias more minutes, because they have had a really good preseason, especially, you know, Elias. Kamani has battled his shoulder, so he missed some time, but so this provided that chance to get him on the floor a little more. You know, those guys will have an opportunity in practice each week as we go forward to prove they should get more playing time.
What did you think about how Burge and House, from just a rhythm standpoint, fit into what you guys are trying to be offensively?
Yeah, I just think, you know, our pace was crazy. I mean, I love our overall speed and how we get the ball down the floor and could score quickly, and how we could put a lot of pressure, and those guys are key guys in that regard. I think you're going to see a lot more really high-level games from Zoe, especially. I've rarely seen that type of shooting percentages from the floor from him, you know, as we chart our practices and all the games that I've seen. So it's just, you know, I think he went a little too quick, and there was a couple of guys who fell into a similar category, especially in the first half, of maybe not having an advantage and then, you know, trying to go one-on-one against set defense without making them work. So that's something that we've been trying to talk to those guys about. But I said after the game in China, I don't think that I've had a player that I've coached that had more of a positive impact on the game than Jalen House had in shooting 1 for 9. I mean, that's where you kind of throw the stat sheet out the window, because he had such an enormous impact on defense, just with his speed, his pressure. He's picked up McKinley Wright, made him work. So if he could continue to do that, even though he didn't shoot well, he's going to have opportunities to play.
Yeah, how cool was it to see that? When you think of the name House, you don't think defense, you think offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a fierce competitor, and just like his dad was. His dad was, you know, an elite competitor, and Jalen has a real chip on his shoulder how he plays, and he just uses his physical talent. You know, it's a gift that he has. There's not many guys that don't get tired the way he does and expend the level of energy that he does. And so you know, we're fortunate to have a guy that's unselfish and willing to do that.
Did you talk about Marcus Bagley yet or not?
I don't even know who you're talking about. I can't talk about that.
Ended up signing it.
I know, but I can't really talk about it.
Central Connecticut State kind of struggled to find their primary scorer in either of their first 2 games. How do you think that you guys kind of match up with them from a defensive standpoint?
You know, they're smaller, so you know, that kind of fits us at the moment. So it's you know, they have multiple guys that appear on film that could go up the dribble, that look to create. They would prefer a quicker tempo, or that's what it looked like from the film that we've been able to watch. And you know, they have some guys that could go one-on-one off the dribble. So that's what, you know, we've seen on film. It's very early in the season, so teams kind of change from game to game and as they work on new things. But that's some of the things that we saw from Central.
Looking a little bit ahead, when you guys go to Connecticut, you're only an hour away from where Kamani is. Do you feel like as a coach, as you kind of deal with making a non-conference schedule, it's important to try to see when you get guys as upperclassmen to play a game in their backyard,
Yeah.
especially when they're from far away?
That's something that, like, when I played at Duke and Coach K always tried to focus on. So it's something that I took from him, that we we try it. If it makes sense, if we can make it happen, we'll try and do it. And that was part of the reason, again, that we agreed to want to play in the Hall of Fame Classic up in Connecticut, because it was, without trying to convince one of the schools in his backyard to start a series with us, this was an easier way to do it. So we were able to get that done. So that was definitely a part of, our decision to play in that event.
Is that something that maybe comes up in recruiting at all too, at any point as you're going through a process of trying to convince a guy from far away to come here?
Yeah, I mean, out of region, if we're recruiting a guy, we'll talk about doing everything in our power to see that they get to play in front of their friends and family at some point during their career.
I know you felt last year the Pac-12 was getting a bad rap with the out-of-conference record and whatnot. It looks like at least the first week or so.
We're the anchor now.
Yeah,
That's changed, right?
Yeah. So, but I guess you're not really surprised, because you were carrying that Pac-12 flag proud, and a lot of people really downing the conference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's guys have recruited well. I think there's been more urgency, and again, I didn't have a lot of access to watching these games, so I have no idea how it all happened. But when I came back, that's what I was told, and it was. But it's a real positive, and I'm rooting for all our teams. Watched some of the Oregon game last night, and that was another really good win for our league. So that's it's going to make it's going to make our games more valuable when we get to league play. There's going to be more national attention on them because there are so many ranked teams right now, and so it's a real plus. I'm really excited about it.
How much time do you spend maybe in a normal, obviously this is not a normal beginning of your season, but how much of an eye do you keep on what happens around the league before you get to January and February?
I mean, I watch a lot of basketball, and I'll watch my opponent. I'll watch film on us. I'm more watching film on us than my opponent. And then I'll watch games as they're happening. I watch UCLA and UCSB. I wanted to see what that game looked like based on the fact that we scrimmaged them, and I watched Arizona play their game versus Illinois. So I try and see what I can, and you start figuring out what your competitors look like, even as much as teams change in the next several weeks. But just more from a fan perspective and fan of college basketball.
You touched on this a little earlier, but that group of Elias at the 5, maybe technically, were you happy with that group, that lineup specifically, production, and that lineup that we're going to see more?
I liked that we battled, and that there wasn't as big a disadvantage under the basket. I mean, we got out rebounded, but it wasn't like there was so much fight from those guys to battle in the post, and I thought our pressure made it difficult for Colorado to run offense with that unit, so they were a little bit disrupted, and our ball pressure maybe masked some openings to throw it inside because guys couldn't really see a pass because they were being hounded. So we figured it out with that unit how to make it work, and then just the pressure in the second half as the game wore on. I think they got a little tired, and we kept the heat on, and that's why we're able to pull all the way within one or a tie. I think maybe we got tied at one point. And then there were just a few plays that they made that we didn't convert, shots that we should have, and they were able to separate at the end. But I was proud of how we competed. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.